Welcome to The Inevitable, a podcast by MotorTrend.
Hi there! Welcome to The Inevitable. This is, there you go. This is MotorTrend's podcast, our vodcast, it's about the future of cars. Today's a different type of episode. It's kind of maybe more Los Angeles focused than we typically do. But I think it's important because, we spend a lot of time talking about EVs, and a lot of these EVs suddenly have 1,000 horsepower. You have family sedans that are doing the quarter mile in under 10 seconds, and so what do you actually do with these things? Well, one thing you might do is take into a track, take into a private facility. And this is about what Singer is doing at Willow Springs. We're going to talk with their CEO all about that. But before we do, this gentleman, Ed Lowe, has got a message for you.
The Inevitable Vodcast is brought to you by no one quite yet. So if you would like to sponsor an episode, give me a shout out, edward.loh@hearst.com. Send me a note. Let me correct you. Not the CEO, former CEO, now Chief Strategy Officer for Singer.
Fair enough.
Involved in their acquisition of Willow Springs International Raceway. Mm-hmm. So we could call this the future of racing in Los Angeles episode.
But also, I think it's going to have global ramifications.
Motorsports events. It's about some very interesting and really fun stuff that is coming to the greater Los Angeles area thanks to Singer's and their partners' acquisition of the fastest racetrack in the West. Mm-hmm. So we're having on Maz is his name?
Yeah.
Mazen Fawaz.
Yeah.
He is one of the co-founders of what is now known as Singer.
Yeah.
And let's get him on.
Well, this is a fun episode for me because I love having guests on that actually met at a bar.
Tell us.
I don't know if you remember, but we were at, I can't remember the name of it. But
it's probably Rensport.
I think it was Rensport. It was Drew Koblitz was involved, but we were at that bar by the hotel in Monterey. The
Crown and Anchor.
So it was nautical themed.
Yeah. Which Rensport?
The last one.
Okay.
Just happened, or not just happened, but 2 years ago already.
Yeah, something like that.
And we sat next to each other and that was a fun night.
That was a fun night.
So Maz, welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. After you met Jonny at a bar.
No, we had a really good time. We had a great time. Despite COVID, we had a great time.
Okay. So, this podcast is ostensibly about the future of mobility, the future of the car. In this case, I think it's the future of all the things that you're involved in, so which would include Singer, and I think the most recent announcement, this expansion to the fastest road in the West, right? Yeah. Willow Springs International Raceway. Is that still a name? What do you guys? Yeah. Willow Springs International Raceway, which if you're not from California or the greater Los Angeles area, is arguably the best, nearest racetrack.
Definitely one of the two.
To the greatest, the greater Los Angeles area. It's where
the only.
Well, yeah.
Well, but also, if you watch Ford versus Ferrari, they're actually at Willow on location, and they
a lot of history.
Moved in some fake cactus, and
a lot of vehicle development has been done out there. A lot of TV commercials, a lot of movies.
MotorTrend history.
Yes, MotorTrend. We've been testing there for a long time. We used to do a ton of video work out there. And now it is under new ownership. So I'll stop talking, and why don't we hear the breaking news from your side of the house?
We've been around here since 2009, kind of. But prior to that, Rob, who you guys know, was in the area and part of the culture, right? The sort of LA car culture, which I might argue maybe the biggest in the world. I don't know,
or the best for sure.
Fighting
best.
words.
It's a massive metro area, right? So which actually brings
and it's a city that really needs cars.
And it's what brings us to the business of a racetrack in LA Metro that makes a lot of sense, right? If there's any, really, honestly, I think you could say if there's any city on earth that should have a motorsports facility, it might be it. Maybe top of the list. I think.
Well, you said Rob Dickinson, who is the founder of Singer.
He's a singer in a band.
Yes.
And singer.
Yes.
LA at one point had the most racetracks of any city on earth.
Yeah.
If you go back like over 100 years,
Long
over
time ago.
100 racetracks were in the city of LA.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Loosely defined.
loosely
Racetracks.
defined. Well, this is the
Dirt
city,
things,
the
dirt.
county, the county.
Yeah.
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 So
No, it's something that we've sort of always understood. Of course, we've tested there. You know, it's where you go to drive something quickly. You don't do it on public roads, right? If you're really, especially if we're testing sort of experimental stuff. Though we do most of our development is out of England, so we're testing in England and Europe during the winters. But it's always something we've been very close to. I raced there a few times with those Porsche Club things, and you know, every time it's an hour and 10 minutes from my front door. I live in Santa Monica, so it's not like I live out near there. I live in town. So it's something you can do for the day. It's not like, for me, Palm Springs is sort of overnight. Like,
yeah, of
right?
course.
Yeah,
And
especially if you're gonna
remember,
drive
it's
for the
past Palm Springs. Thermal is 45
yeah.
minutes past
Well, and
Palm
Chuck
Springs,
Walla, which is fantastic,
which
but
is even further
past that.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's always something that I paid attention to that, you know, man, I wish it was nice, right? I wish it was something. It was built in 1953. I think they might have spent exactly $0 since 1953. Just, it's, you know, it was just sort of left to age. There were some, you know, fixes here and there, but it kind of was just left that way. It might have made sense when, you know, in the period when tire technology was nothing compared to what it is today. Cars were generally slower. Maybe it had a different sort of effect, but now, of course, things are much faster.
And look, for over the years, like I just my time there, I started going there in 2010. You know, the track, not only the track, the dirt next to the track eroded, and it was just getting dangerous. I mean, it was just, you know, if you dropped a wheel, you're done.
You actually dropped a wheel. So you
actually
off
would
the
go
asphalt,
down
you
a
drop
few
down,
inches,
you have several inches,
which
and
is
then
insane.
Yeah, and then you put your wheel into a you know,
A hard piece of cement.
Well, it's also a higher slip, so into dirt, you actually lose track. It's sort of sucked off the circuit. So it's something that I was sort of always staring at. And then you know, a bunch of pretty cool coincidences sort of fell into place. We have a customer who is an enormous developer in Montana and own and operate a private ski resort.
Right.
Amongst a million other things, hotels, and they've developed maybe tens or hundreds of thousands of acres, entire cities. So, and if you know, a fabulous guy, and I got to spend some time with him. And when I heard it was coming up for sale, which I think everyone sort of heard at the same time, I brought it up to him. Which was actually at Le Mans last year, so this is not that long ago, and he had heard about it through someone had mentioned it to him, and it's been something that's been on his radar for a while, and we just sort of converged in, you know, what Singer could bring and what they could bring, and that team, which is Cross Harbor, which you may have seen in some press releases.
Sure. And this is Sam you're talking about.
Yeah. So they don't mess around.
Right.
Like I think they were out at our shop within 2 weeks, and we flew out there, landed, talked to the ownership, and it was under contract and within a couple of months.
Wow. And when was this? Like what month? What year?
So Le Mans last year was June.
June.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So July timeframe.
Yeah. It went fairly quickly.
Okay.
And how long had it been? Because it was announced that it was going to go on. Was it 6 months prior to that kind of the word got out that they were?
I don't know. You know, I'm not really sure. I
feel like it was longer. I've heard about it being for sale.
We had heard. I like somehow I met someone else who said that they had looked at buying it, but it wasn't. It didn't sort of. I don't think it went particularly public. You know, it wasn't that long between then and when we had that conversation. I don't quite remember. And then there's a lot of interest, and we had heard, or if not knew, some of the other people that were interested in bidding, but you know. These guys that we're partners with are really experienced. They really understand what it takes to develop land, the costs, the timing.
And this is their first racetrack.
Their first racetrack,
right?
You know, I think two things. Singer, myself, and so on. We've been sort of steeped in this for a long time. We bring a lot of this maybe street knowledge, right? What would make sense and what would people like and what would people not like? What would we love really? But also the which is now the Willow Springs team put together a pool of experts. So Alex Wurz, who designed Red Bull Ring and a bunch of stuff. So real track designers, not I think it should go this way or that way.
Yeah.
And then
because I've driven those tracks.
Yeah, and then Speedway Motorsports, who own and operate a bunch of NASCAR tracks. They operate Sonoma now.
Oh, okay.
So they really are experts in not just track operations and ticketing and all that stuff, but like track surfaces, curbs, runoff, concrete, asphalt, all that. They really, really know that. They've done it a million times over. They're kind of the best in the world. So they came in. So it isn't just a few of us feeling around in the dark trying to figure it out. They're really good experts on this who are able to then sort of assess. This is prior, by the way, to the purchase. Assess what needs to be done, how long is it going to take, how much is it going to cost, how many people do you need, blah blah blah. Like really put together a business plan fairly quickly. I mean, it happened in a couple of months.
So you have a team of experts. We've established. I want to dive into each of the operations that you mentioned. But before that, I was wondering whether we can entertain us in terms of some of the other bidders. I'd heard all sorts of crazy rumors, like influencers were going to buy the track. I heard Miss Amelia said she was putting in some.
I think it's a difference between saying something on social media and actually bidding. I mean, it was expensive, and it's not just expensive, but to improve it, I mean, the costs are it's a real It's not
millions
like
and millions of dollars. Yeah.
Oh,
more than millions and millions.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very big
it
endeavor.
over 100 million?
Oh
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So over a long period of time, right?
Yeah.
So if you go from sort of today to what the plan is, which would take many years, right?
I've seen
5+ years.
Right.
Over that period of time, it will take a lot of investment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, that's great.
To do what we think the thing deserves.
I was going to ask, like, so you meet Sam. And Sam, what's his last name?
Byrne,
Byrne.
B-Y-R-N.
Right. So,
yeah.
So you meet Sam, who I've talked to, lovely man.
Yeah.
Got me a helicopter ride the other day, which we'll get to. But like you meet him, you pitch it, he comes out. Like, when did you know like it was really happening? Because it's kind of like a crazy thing to buy a racetrack, right?
Yeah. I mean, the way these things go is and he has a team of people with different expertise from permitting and building and
Sure.
everything it takes to develop a complex thing that we're able to dive in. I was able to meet them, and I was able to watch them really put together a study. So you're gonna see what's available, what's legal, things like also just things like the availability of water, electricity, and sort of all that stuff.
Yeah,
they
sure.
dove in and did all that, and it's something they've done many times before. So you could sort of witness the experience going at that to really put together a picture, I would say, for Sam, so he could really assess it and figure out what's possible over what period of time and how much capital it need, and then thinking through the forward business plans, things that they haven't been involved in, like operating a racetrack. And I can tell you the broadly the verticals for the business plan. The business plan is to counter to nonsense people have completely fabricated. It's meant to be a racetrack and operate as a racetrack, as a public racetrack. It always was. There was never wasn't going to be a data center or whatever people completely made up.
I did hear that. Yeah,
Data center?
Oh yeah, we heard data centers,
I said,
houses.
Wouldn't you want a river near it?
Clearly made up by people who have never been there, because it's surrounded by like 300,000 acres of flat dirt. I don't know why you would buy the racetrack and shut it down.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Well, because that's I always tell people, because somebody was like, oh, they're gonna do a freeway through there. I go, there's a freeway next to it, and like there's so much land you can go. It was a lot cheaper.
Total fabrication, and we were a little surprised and ended up having to like kind of say something
Address
about it,
right?
Because I was like, who? Because people are worried it was going to shut down. I said, who buys a thing and just closes it? Like,
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I heard high-speed rail. They're going to put high-speed rail through.
Totally made up. Like, no, it's a racetrack. It's meant to be a racetrack. So the first part of the business plan is to operate as a motorsports facility, to obviously update it in a whole bunch of ways. It's not to sort of leave the history behind and make it look like a weird new shiny object. We definitely want to lean into to what it is and what it has been.
Yeah, it has an iconic shape, like the big track. People
Yeah.
know the silhouette.
Yeah, and and of course that will stay, but adding optionality like chicanes and things you can take or not take, and
Right.
actually adding about 0.8 of a mile to Big Willow, but runoff, electric flag boards, the sort of modern things to make it actually FIA 2 compliant, so it could have.
To me, that's the when I heard that, I was like, oh, these guys are serious, because I kind of like, the Nürburgring is FIA 2, Paul Ricard is FIA 2, like that. I've driven those facilities. But I mean, they're not only real though, but it means if you do have a bad moment, you survive. Generally speaking, like
is it
they're
well,
built to a standard.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you can go out. An amateur should be able to go out there.
Yeah.
And enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
And feel like to some degree they understand what to do, where to go, what happens if it goes wrong, all that kind of thing. And then a pro should be able to go out and challenge themselves. Mm-hmm. You should have that range. But from a design and aesthetics perspective, not necessarily like completely vaporize what it was. So it's really the business of being a racetrack, which is renting track time. It's which could be for a race, it could be for clubs, it could be for track days, it could be for Ferrari, Corsa Cliente, whatever it is. Some of these corporates
I've been to a number of press launches. OEMs launch a new car, like Lamborghini's done it, AMG's done it, Toyota's done it. Rent the track.
Same thing. And the advantage here of this site is there's more than one track, so you have different opportunities. So that's always been the sort of obvious. It's always been the plan. The second, I would say there's probably 4 verticals. The second one is, I know we've been referring it to as OEM. So if you had a tenant there, like, I don't know, Michelin or Bosch or whoever, someone who may want to use the circuits for testing or for client experiences or whatever.
Like BMW's at Thermal. They have the BMW Performance Driving School. They have 50 BMWs that are parked out front.
Same idea. Yeah. We would very unlikely we would commit to any big car brand or any of that, but they can be there and they can have a facility. We've heard from race teams and all sorts of people about what's possible there. So there's that kind of tendency. We do intend to build a car development center, which something we use. So you have low grip and skid pads and cobblestones and all that stuff.
All that fun stuff.
Yeah, it's stuff that we know a lot of folks. I mean, Porsche, of course, who test locally, but you can't do that. There's a Honda proving ground that's a bit away, far away.
Yeah,
so
we're really familiar with
Honda,
it.
we use Honda.
Same.
Yeah.
We're way too familiar with it. Yeah.
And then I would say there's 2 more verticals. One, of course, is the private club, which we have started. The idea that it could have a private club, and I can tell you what that means.
Yeah.
But the place doesn't have to be private. It doesn't have to be closed to the public to do that. The club members can have dedicated track time. There's multiple circuits, and the function of a private club is that you can leave your car there, you can leave your gear there, you can have a shower, you can have lockers, you can have you can go out there for the day or fly in or whatever. You don't have to live locally to do that, and you can go and have track time, and eventually you can get to other other things that are more elaborate. But a clubhouse and a restaurant and a kind of the Thermal is a bit different in that it's really a real estate. Yeah, like you're meant to buy a home, buy land and build a home. That's not. This is like a country club. Yeah. You pay an initiation fee and you have annual dues. That's called the Singer Drivers Club. We're just starting with that.
Do you have to own a Singer to be in the Singer Drivers Club?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No.
There's hope.
Yeah. Well, for us, it's a step for our brand to step. Yeah. It's one little step outside of what we do, which isn't totally unrelated to what we do, right?
And look, I've been to like facilities that have car clubs for private clubs or whatever, and they're great. They usually have like a good restaurant, and people don't even necessarily own cars. They just they're friends with the owners. They go there. The food's good. It's a good time. Yeah, and it's kind of like a private restaurant almost.
Yeah, and what's nice is it's legitimately close to town. I mean, it's not 2 seconds away, but it's and it depends where you are. I mean, from Torrance, from our shop, it can be a hike. It can be an hour and a half.
I can get there. I live basically Glendale. I can get there in under an hour if I push it.
Yeah,
so it's
sort of you sort of very quickly get out of town. Yeah, and there's not really traffic. Yeah, right. Unless you have to go from Torrance, we have to go through all that stuff. So it kind of depends where and when.
Okay,
but
and the fourth pillar.
The fourth one are events. It's something. The idea that Southern California could have an annual multi-day car event is a thing, right? It's something
Say more.
Singer Festival of Speed.
Well, so we
trademark that. Boom.
So Goodwood Festival of Speed. We've gone for 10. This is our 10th year.
Yeah.
We know it intimately, like every square inch of it. We're
Sure.
very close to the people that own and operate it, and we've seen it grow and change over the years. Obviously, Car Week. We've all been to. I don't know how for
15 years
something
for me.
like that. Yeah, about 15 years. We never miss a year.
Yeah.
And the idea that Southern California could have a multi-day car, not just Luft is awesome, or air, water, or whatever, but it's obviously very focused on
and it's relatively small and it's not multi-day. And
so that to us is something again that would have to grow over time. You don't leap to Goodwood Festival of Speed, which has taken a long time and a lot of expertise and really a lot of talent. The folks that own and operate that, and this event that we just had is meant to be the sort of first, right? That we would do it every year, and ideally, it is patient and we care for it and it grows over time. So that's something that is another part, but that which should be owned by the circuit. So not some other company comes and rents the track and does that.
Okay. I got a lot of questions. That was a great overview of what the plans are for the Willow Springs International Raceway. I'm going to kind of go back to front. The thing you mentioned, though, it's interesting to me, it stands out, is when you talk about using the future, this facility for a Goodwood Festival of Speed or something along the lines of like a Pebble Beach. I noticed, one, that neither Goodwood nor Pebble Beach occur on a racetrack, and conspicuously the one that does, you didn't mention, which is the Rolex, the Motorsports, Monterey Motorsports Reunion, RMR, right? Is that, Festival Speed, if you haven't ever been to Festival Speed, it's one of these like car guy must do, like arguably best event like in the world. And it occurs on some, I like, the joke is, it's on some rich dude's driveway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Lord March. It's like a
it's the Duke of Richmond.
It's Europe's largest car show now.
It's like a 3 mile.
No, it's barely
driveway?
a mile.
Barely a mile? Whatever.
Yeah. It's actually a driveway.
Yeah,
People,
but,
and
it's a 1.23 miles.
Fast, incredibly dangerous. They've had
incredibly.
Well, to be the motorcycle guys,
motorcycle,
survival rate is not so high for those guys who do that.
Drag strip is dangerous for motorcycles.
Yeah.
But anyways, so this future idea of an event? Why wouldn't it be more like an RMR versus a Rolex versus a?
Well, yeah. So there are historic races, or there are just races.
Yep.
And then there's Goodwood Festival of Speed is again I've driven up the hill every year. We do it twice a day. It is really a driveway, and it is kind of narrow. And I guess but generally the people that are in anything fast have to be qualified. You have to be a
No,
racing
they
driver
let me
again.
drive up it.
Except for him.
You don't do that.
Certainly not to be qualified.
Well,
I've driven it
a
a few
little bit
times.
experience, right? But the point or the magic of Goodwood Festival of Speed is it is an outdoor car show, motor show, but things are moving. Things aren't racing. There is a timed, thing when they do a little bit of time thing. But the point is, you see these fabulous things in motion, both old and new. So it will be a new the 911 or something, but then it'll be
the Beast of Turin.
It'll be the car that won Le Mans and whatever blasting up the hill with the driver that won Le Mans at that time. So
it was Derek Bell.
Everything becomes alive. You hear it. Everything runs. So we run twice a day. So generally everything runs twice a day. It's it's Thursday through Sunday.
Right.
Generally the programming is the same every day, and in that case, which has really evolved massively, you actually have OEMs like Volvo and Ford
Lexus
who have set up massive. It's a car show.
I went this year. It is the village, the OEM village, or whatever they call it, was. I couldn't believe how big it was. Yeah,
it's enormous.
Huge.
It's really well done.
Huge.
And then they have the classic side. Well, it's not just really classic. There's the modern F1 teams and other stuff. They bring really special things that aren't necessarily sort of advertising. Or they're not for sale. And it's this terrific combination of all this fabulous stuff, but what it is not is a race. And as much as I adore racing and certainly vintage racing, it isn't really for everybody to come and watch, to spend a day watching. Right. I mean, I raced at Rolex the last few years. Right. It's even hard on us, and we're there because we're trying to have a good time. But for spectators, man, it's loud. It's a long day. You don't get really breaks. It's always kind of going. Right. And in order to know what's going on, you need to maybe be invested in it and all that. We're thinking more like it would be more because we have a track where things can be in motion, right. Cars can be going by, which we tested a tiny bit. Yeah. This thing, what we had at this event, which isn't locked in stone for the future, is we had the idea where that cars were going around that weren't racing. We did put 2 races in there because we wanted some programming, which was a B sedan race because they raced at Willow Springs in period. I have a car that was in that. We were in that, and then we had the GT4 Club Sports.
I'll give you an idea.
But it was
But there were the GT4 race were 6 laps, and the B sedan was I don't remember 10 laps or something. It wasn't that you had to sit and be deaf all day long.
Maz is talking about this grand opening event that happened 2 weekends ago. Yeah. And yes, and I'm going to give you a genius, 100% certified genius idea that I had for Rolex Monterey Motorsports reunion, because I talked to a couple guys. I talked to Ralph Gilles. I talked to Jim Farley. Ralph Gilles, the head of design for Stellantis. Jim Farley, CEO of Ford. This is 2 years ago at RMR. I'm like, you guys should race. You guys should do a charity race in a run what you brung. So Jim, get that GTD out here. Ralph, what do you got?
Viper ACR.
No, I mean, it's probably current, something MC20, And I was like, who else, top C-suite execs from OEMs do a charity like time attack around the track. Run what you brung.
Jim Farley is actually, he races.
He's legit.
So does Ralph.
Ralph is
does he?
super
I was going to say,
fast.
not everyone.
Yeah.
Not everyone.
There's one guy at each company.
I'm going to put him on blast. I was like, he's like, I'll smoke Jim. He's like, he races in the Radical series. He's raced a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
he's very fast.
He's pretty serious. He hides it all because it's not like Chrysler products.
But at the time, I was like, well, who else is quick? And he poo-pooed a bunch of other guys. But he actually mentioned that Carlos Tavares, the outgoing Stellantis CEO, also crazy fast. Yeah. That dude races vintage Formula One cars. So he also has lots of money and apparently is wicked fast. But I think you could totally do this.
Certified genius.
Because people know, a lot of those guys know that track. And then they got all the design centers. They can easily get cars.
What I was going to say was,
there's the idea.
I was there. And it was cool because you're just talking to your buddies. It's like any event, and you look up and like, oh look, there's a Julia going by or whatever. Yeah, it was nice.
And that's kind of what happens at Goodwood. You're not watching every single car that goes by at Goodwood. There's too much. And they do them every. I mean, must be every 30 seconds or something. A car is going up the hill. Boom, yeah. So. But imagine the idea of cars in motion, whether they're old or new, and you could have a break for a short race, like we did the GT4 race that we did.
And you brought out like Dario was there and Jenson Button.
So in the race, the race was Marino Franchitti, Jenson Button.
Sorry, I meant Marino.
Jimmy Johnson, Dario, myself.
Right. Oh, cool.
And then
how'd you do?
Second.
Right. Yeah.
And we need to make sure if I have reminded them. I reminded Jimmy that I finished ahead of him in a race probably 8 times.
How did they take it?
In 2 weeks. Well, they're never going to hear the end of it.
Okay. But did they, because those guys, they're all nice and friendly until something like that happens.
Well, they were like, look, we're just going to be a chill pace. We're going to go out and have some fun.
Oh, and you were red mist?
No, I started last. In turn 2, Dario came up the inside and Marino hit him right in front of me. I was like, these guys aren't screwing around. Right. And so we sort of took off. But I told Jenson that if I would have beat him, I would never drive a car again. That's it. I would hang it up, and I'll have always won that race.
Jenson Button's pretty good on track, it turns out.
He's amazing.
So Jenson won.
Good for you, though.
I think
that's great.
I'll tell you,
those guys were all cool and calm. I was like sweating, and
I've done stuff with Marino. There's a point where he stops screwing around and starts.
Marino's no joke.
Yeah.
Marino, he won Sebring.
I hope Marino watches this. He's a prince of a guy.
Yeah, we love him.
I was at your event the night before, Friday night at the Singer headquarters, And I was on my way out, and I ran into Marino, and we got to talking about our kids, and how we had Ferdy, Portia, and Rob Smedley in the chair 2 weeks ago, talking about Fat Karting League, and how I was thinking to put my son into it.
Oh yeah, Luca's in it. Yeah.
And Marino
Marino
was telling me all about it. He's like, oh, it's great, highly recommend it. He's like, because you can get into this stuff, and a lot of these parents are just trying to live through their kids, and they just become they're just the worst type of people. And then now I hear the very next day he hits Dario on the track, which I think
he did. It's on video. We have it.
Yeah,
it's incredible. And so all of a sudden it turned super serious. So I was like, all right, we're.
I mean, I've seen those cats racing at the Goodwood Revival for years. Like they don't play around. Like they go for it.
But they are. I mean, they're the most talented drivers in the world.
Yeah, they're great.
Speaking of Revival. And I've also been. I think
real quick, good for you for beating him. I'm impressed.
No, I know, and I will remind them.
I will remind them
until they absolutely crush me at something else. Which I'm sure.
I might text Marino right now. Like, Mom,
should do it.
Would you? Speaking of,
I'm sure he's up.
Speaking of Goodwood Revival, which is the other big event, and I've also been to another. If you haven't been to Le Mans Classic, that's awesome.
I haven't.
Le Mans Classic is insane.
Yeah.
Would you guys consider doing some kind of period correct event where you have to come in, everybody, even the spectators, has to come in like pre-1970s gear with their cars, and then it becomes
obviously so Revival is magic, right?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
The best.
It's certainly earned it over time.
Yeah.
And so I was there this year, and one thing you think about when you're there is like people actually were here dressed like this, legitimately racing these cars when they were new, and this is how actually everyone dressed, and they were able to sort of revive that. I think it's cool. I think it's a fine line of sort of being a copycat or making it cheesy. So I think there's something in there, certainly with the sort of American car history, that was sort of born there. But I got to tell you, this is so. You were at our you were both. I didn't. You were at our shop the Friday night before.
No, he went. I couldn't
you weren't there.
Okay. I couldn't make it. I've been to your shop, but I couldn't make it that night.
So Alwyn Springer was there, and he told me a story which I had no idea, that they tested and developed the 917 there.
I've heard that.
Which none of, and all these conversations we've had, and there's been hours and days and months of conversations that's never been brought up ever. And so I found pictures of him looking like he's 20 or something.
Yeah.
And a 917-10 out at Willow Springs, looking not much better than it looks now.
I believe they were working on the aero there, because I think the cars were sort of like developed, built in Germany, but then they had like all kinds of aerodynamic issues.
Well, it was the Vasek Pollock car.
Okay.
So it was, or those cars. I think they tested. I'll show you the pictures.
Vasek Pollock, very famous Porsche shop out of Manhattan Beach, California, right around the corner from where I live.
But I think that was the big thing, was that like they had this monster engine, but the cars were hard to drive, and so they had to sort the aero, and so it's a good track because you can get up in a night. Who knows what you can get to at 917, like $1.50 in the turn 8 or something, or faster.
Okay.
But also like for Bullet, like Steve McQueen and what's his name, the stunt driver Bill Hickman. That's where they practiced for Bullet, was at Willow Springs.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like.
There's a history to lean into.
Yeah.
I always thought about American cars. It never occurred to me that a 917 was.
So we can give you ideas on what to do with this. This
choice
piece of real estate.
We can become consultants. We're not giving.
But let's. I just want to circle back to the Cross Harbor Capital Partners. So Sam was the guy who gave the opening remarks at the event. Was that correct?
At your
event on Friday.
I introduced him.
You introduced him, yes.
Yeah.
And then you got this sweet gear bag. I think he gave you. Any of those guys, the managing partners from Cross Harbor, any of them like legit like car guys?
Sam
goodness. Sam.
I don't know.
I think Sam generally sort of doesn't screw around. Like when he commits to something.
Okay.
His car collection is both intellectual and growing like quickly. He of course that's why he ended up at Singer.
Sure.
But no, he's got really cool stuff. It's not all the most expensive thing in the universe. Sort of it's really about. He's really into quality and detail and craftsmanship and things like that, and stuff that he loved when he was younger. But also, he's not buying a bunch of Huracans or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm asking a really dumb question. One of the co-founders is William H. Kremer with a K. It's not like Kremer.
No.
Okay. Kremer Porsche. I was like,
So Sam and his team have been sort of immersed. I'm helping do that a little bit, and they're all just, I can tell they're all kind of falling in love with his team, who are experts in, private ski resorts and golf and all that stuff, have sort of been flown in and dumped into this,
Right.
and doing some getting some track time in, and of course they're getting totally, I can see they're
Right.
I hope you took it to Pebble as research. Did they
Well,
get-
no,
did
they
go-
did. They've
Oh,
gone.
no.
They came to Goodwood. They came to Goodwood with us.
Oh, yeah, nice.
No, the point was you need to understand what's possible here. You
Right.
have to start to get to know it. I mean, it's one thing for me to be able to explain it,
Sure.
but it's different when you're there.
And you got to see it. Yeah.
It's different if you start to fall in love with it. And we are, at Singer, we're like, I don't know, we're like a disorder for cars or something. Like,
Right.
it's hard to tell someone that. They need to sort of get
Sure.
kind of get it.
Especially, I mean, Pebble is sort of. I still love Pebble, but like there is an otherworldliness to both the Goodwood events where it's like, especially even Revival is like we walk into a dream sequence almost.
It's
right?
incredible.
Yeah,
it's really
everyone's
it's
in
really
costume.
incredible. It's nothing, and people say, is it like Monterey Car Week? Which is, I mean, Monterey Car Week, which we always enjoy, we always
Yeah,
love.
it's great.
But it's fragmented and everything's a little bit different. I don't know that there's really a tone or a culture necessarily, which of course in these British things, it's kind of,
Yeah, very monoculture.
yeah.
But like the Revival really is like, and again, what's crazy about the Revival? Remember, Cars is like about a third of it. If you go across the pedestrian bridge, it's like vintage dresses and stuff like that. It has nothing to do with
I'm
cars.
gonna give the worst analogy ever.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
It's a Ren Fair for cars.
It is a Ren Fair for cars. It's a good analogy.
It's a Ren Fair.
Yeah,
Renaissance Fair.
Oh,
People
yeah.
dress up.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But you can imagine that has earned its place through time
Yeah.
and expansion
Yeah.
and commitment and all that. That's not like
In the case of Ren Fair,
you
centuries.
can just do it overnight.
And-
Even
yeah,
and the multi-day car event thing that we know that will need to grow over years and years and years and become a staple. So you don't just write that down and do it the next day.
I was going to ask you the event, the relaunch of Willow. Like I went, I have my opinions, but how did you guys view it? How was it?
Success.
Well, so we didn't have it was so we're now planning next year's. That was 90 days.
Yeah.
About 90 days of planning and kind of slapping it together. So it was I think it had surprisingly few failures. I think we were expecting a little more to fall apart. The traffic situation was, well, we also didn't expect that many people, if I'm perfectly honest.
Yeah. And it was
How many
like
people did you expect, and how many
5,000?
people showed up? That's good.
Well, it was like we permitted for 5,000 because you got to pick a number, right? And we didn't realize that it would be a problem because more we all of a sudden it was like, can you get me in? Can we get
Sure,
a ton of
course,
more people wanted? But the answer was categorically no, because this is a we had to get permitted with the fire department and sort of all of that. So would you be able to support that many people with food and kind of
Facilities,
everything, right? Bathrooms and
Yeah.
and so on. So I think it was, and of course I've had, constant review, not reviews, but people reaching out who absolutely had a great time. I don't think it's just the people who know Willow Springs and say things like, I've never seen that. I don't think there's ever been that many
There's
people
never
there.
been that many people. I walked down
Ever.
that main straight or
Yeah.
paddock or whatever, like, because I got, we helicoptered in it, as you do, and we got delivered by a shuttle van to the VIP area, and Brittany
Wait,
got
where
us,
did the helicopter land?
kind of by
The
Horse
Thief Mile, there's
yeah,
a
paddock.
little.
And you hired my friend Brittany to be your
Yeah.
operations. She's
Yeah,
amazing.
she's great.
She's incredible.
Yeah.
And so she got. I saw her. I'm like, we need our wristbands. So she got us the wristbands. And so I was kind of like, walking around a little bit. But then I turned finally and saw where everyone actually was.
Yeah.
Like it was 5,000 people.
Yeah.
Standing on the front straight, basically.
What would be the-
The team. So the Cross Harbor team, who really are the Willow Springs team, right?
Yeah.
And the Willow Springs is with Brittany now. There's someone, Jen, who started the Willow Springs, and the guy named Rick, who is really responsible for a lot of the
we know
ground stuff.
Jen.
She was at Pekla.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's
Oh.
fantastic.
Yeah, I'm blanking on her last name. G.I. Jen. Yeah.
Yes.
She's great. Oh,
It's
she's
awesome.
oh yeah.
Yeah. So Willow Springs is
wonderful.
getting its
Oh, yeah.
own team.
Oh,
like
that's a solid team. Jenna
building a
Bernier is
business.
solid.
And
Yeah.
more people are coming, but the Cross Harbor guys are really the people who pushed this forward.
Yeah.
So the Singer part was obviously at our event, and then we really focused on that area, the kind of VIP area, where we're going to host a bunch of our customers.
Great
and
bathrooms.
everything else. Yeah,
Which
bathrooms.
I've never said about Willow Springs.
Willow had bathrooms?
Oh, they built some new ones, and man,
It's funny because when we first started, working together, us and Cross Harbor, we were talking about racetracks and what the experience is like, and I have told them it's not necessarily that easy for spectators, people, or even racers. Sometimes racetracks can be kind of harsh environments,
Right.
And I was like, number one, bathrooms, clean,
number one.
accessible. They're like, it's kind of a low bar. And I was like,
no, it's not.
it's a really big deal,
dude. I was
especially if you're at a track for 10
I was
hours.
at a
or whatever,
Lemons
right?
race back about almost 20 years ago, and all the toilets backed up and overflowed, and
Yeah.
it was the only bathrooms.
They're always gross.
And no, this was the worst because people still had to go. It was a 24-hour race. It was like
We get the picture.
yeah. No, I'm not gonna describe it.
It's Jennifer Nicole Malacarne.
Yeah.
She's the Porsche experience. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
she's
great.
awesome.
We loved
Yeah.
it.
How many people? What's the theoretical maximum you could have? You think at this at Willow?
I mean, a lot more than that.
Like
but
next year, would you
as long
permit
as you
for
can
15,000
prepare.
people?
Yeah, of course you could. You could easily.
You have the
if,
acreage.
if you're prepared. Yeah, but you have to. That's
Yeah, food.
traffic entry
Parking.
being easier, multiple access points. We're already reviewing
Sure.
what would it take, and with enough time, and if you can get in this case, the sheriff's department and everyone else to kind of participate with managing some of the outside stuff. So if you're prepared, it can handle a lot. I think
That was the only negative I heard at all was just getting in.
Yeah,
that
there were people that waited for a long time.
But that many people have never tried to go there. Like it's never.
Yeah, it was the sort of first run at it, and I would say we didn't have any significant failures. I think a lot of people had a great time. The people that were in as kind of partners, they seem to reflect very positively of it. I mean, one test is we had a great time. So and because we're the ones that are stressed. Like if you're hosting people at your house.
Yeah.
And everyone seemed to be cool, and all of our friends, the drivers, Ferdy, everyone seemed to just have a blast.
Okay.
Real quick,
We got a lot of questions.
Yeah, but I was just say because it was a good event. The biggest cynic I know in cars, I'll leave his name out of it, but he said,
I wasn't there.
the other biggest cynic
Okay.
said like this was an awesome event. Like he said it sucked waiting 90 minutes to get in. But I was reading the rest of his post and I was expecting like he's just gonna, just crap all over it. And he's like, it was an awesome event. It was so cool to see that many people celebrating LA's car culture.
Yeah,
and that was my takeaway from it. It was just, it was a great event.
It was cool. And I think there's the sort of death of the car show. I think the convention center car show is, and then the cars and coffees and stuff, which seem to be increasingly difficult. And for good reason, I think in some cases. So I think there is people are asking for this sort of thing. So it was pretty cool. Hopefully, over the years we can deliver something better and better.
I want to just dig in one more in a little bit more into the pillar. So there's 4 pillars. We covered them. The Singer Club. I was at the event on Friday night before, and you showed on the big screen some other plans. I don't know if you can talk about some of those with the
for the site.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what you saw, if I remember correctly, is we had a little bit of a before and after rendering. So an image of Willow. Well, actually, it was a little fair. It's not really Willow now. It was Willow pre the Streets. So Streets has been completely redone, and that wasn't in that image. But it was a rendering of the whole site.
Yep.
Some of it is very legitimate, like the racetrack configurations, the curbing, the runoff, sort of all that is actually
For the big track.
it was actually both.
Oh, both. Okay.
In the image was legit. The other stuff is a lot more proposed, like to have a pit lane garages indoor pit lane garages like you have at Laguna,
Yeah.
Right.
with hospitality and all that above,
Yeah.
is stuck on there, but is it in the right spot? Is it,
Right.
it's to sort of suggest where that could go, what that could look like. And some of the other facilities on there, the buildings are, an approximation. The track was for real.
Okay.
So, and that was designed by Alex
Wurz.
Wurz. And yeah.
Which we should talk about. Alex Wurz, former Formula One driver. I was making the comment to somebody. Who was I talking to? Oh, I was explaining to Sung Kang, who's been on the podcast. He was also at the event, so he was sort of, whoa, what's all this? Who are these people?
And just shot a movie there.
Shot a movie. He was probably one of the last productions to shoot at Willow Streets before the renovation. I think you guys have made the announcement of Alex Wurz, and I was like, well, having a guy like Alex Wurz design a racetrack is like having Jack Nicklaus do like a golf course. It's like a famous pro who's done this before can then put his thumbprint, his approval on this track. And then the fact that it's FIA GT2 certified is incredible.
Well, the other thing is we have very close to us Jenson,
right,
who's an old friend of mine, but is now formally involved in the thing. He's also he lives locally.
Yeah, he's great.
So he has obviously a lot of experience.
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson, Dario and Marino are very. They're just close. I mean, Jenson's actually an ambassador.
And Marino is involved with.
Marino's involved in Singer.
Singer,
Yes,
right,
he runs our development.
Right.
Development driving. So he and I do all the driving. He does obviously a lot more than I do.
Who does all the sliding shots?
Well, either Chris Harris. That's sort of all he can do.
Right.
He knows that. No fear.
Yeah,
he doesn't watch
knows
this.
that.
His last thing to do is watch this podcast.
A little bit of Marino. Marino's not a particularly slidey guy,
okay.
and less so myself. But there's a lot of information from those guys that is really valuable.
Sure.
Right? A lot of experience that's really valuable. Of course, the Speedway, because we actually operate a track and understand what it takes and how you extract a car if it's been crashed, and sort of there's a lot to consider besides just if it's fun or not, or whatever. So there's a real depth of experience with those folks.
That's great. It's a good group. Yeah,
it's a great group. But Alex, Alex, when he's designing, it's like there's math in there in terms of corner speed and how much room you need for runoff and what whatever you're going to run into is. And it's not just this looks cool. Yeah, there's engineering in there.
And I was going to say, I mean, I said I've driven those tracks. Like I have been to tracks where I'm like, why is there every corner, downhill decreasing radius blind? And they go, oh, just like we had 38 of us bought this track and we all wanted a really cool corner, and it's like it's undrivable. All you do is hit the brake pedal. Like you want to go fast. It's a track.
Been to those.
Yeah.
And look, the idea, which is not easy to do and certainly not guaranteed, but I think there are some really iconic tracks in the world that there are racetracks where you can go and race or drive fast, but there's some that you kind of remember forever, not just because of the cool experience, but I would say Laguna for sure, Spa, some of these things that really are very special experiences. There's even kart tracks, like the Bahrain circuit kart track is like you can just go rent a kart or whatever.
Yeah.
But it sort of changes your life in a sense. Like you'll always remember going there. So part of the idea here is that that's what this is. We're really thinking about what that means. That it's not just sheer terror. It's not just frustrating.
So
it's not. You don't feel completely outclassed if you drive it. Like unless you're Jenson or whatever, you can't. Have a good lap or whatever.
I was just gonna say, sorry, Laguna Seca, Spa, the Bahrain, actually the F1 track. Like there's racing there. So are you guys looking to bring in a series or?
It's not at the top of the list. It definitely needs to be able to.
Yeah.
There's no interest in the F1 type of stuff.
So FIA 1 or F1 tracks. FIA 2 is anything but F1.
I don't think it's just whether or not in theory you could, because they have street races, right? Race a Formula 1 car there. it's really I think the size of the events, the politics, and the nonsense of those are very different
infrastructure and
businesses. But could you have an IMSA race?
That's what I was
an SRO race? Certainly.
Yeah.
I mean, you should be able to have a vintage race, a fabulous vintage race.
Yeah.
The series, it needs to be able to. It's not like the business is counting on it. It would be super cool.
Yeah, that would be. You know, an IMSA racer would be so.
But they can get. You do have to consider the size of the crowds, and you need the infrastructure needs to be able to support
grandstands,
cars moving in and out, grandstands and all that stuff. So
and pits
it's not it's not the top of the list, but it's part of the
possible.
And it's part of the programming for the future as things that it can support.
I want to ask two more questions about the track and then get into you personally and how you got here.
Oh yeah, we should probably ask that.
Yeah. But so will all of the tracks that have Willow Springs, the broader facility has been known for, will they all be revived or renovated? Like Horse Thief Mile was like really popular with the drift crowd. Is that going to be
there's certainly obviously Big Willow and Streets. Streets, by the way, if you haven't been, since it's so much fun now. Like it's absolutely a blast. You sort of remove the fear factor. The others are still kind of like trying to figure out how to treat them. Horse Thief Miles is very cool, but it's on a really steep grade.
That's why it's cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could you actually have racing there converted to a track? The issue is some of the runoff is like running off a cliff. So that's still I think trying to figure out how to treat that. It's actually used for a lot of photography.
Yes,
still photography because it's really beautiful there and
in commercials. And I shot a commercial for, I can't remember what it was for, but with Jeff Swart. Like he was driving some car and I was driving the camera car chasing him around. Yeah, and
he's part of the history of that place.
Yeah,
sure. He's been there a long time. What a great dude. But and then some of the others are they're staying until we sort of figure out whether or not that makes sense.
How about an off road?
I was gonna say
off-road. Well, I mean we're dying to do an off road. Yes. Where and how?
Yeah.
And sort of defining off road is sort of tricky. There's a car that can go on dirt, a rally car or something. Then there's side by sides. Then there's real off road.
But you have the acreage, and I mean,
and you got a mountain.
Yeah. So that's it's something that we definitely want to do. Okay. I think you have to be quite careful to figure out what how you define that, right? What vehicles, who can do it, how do you manage it? But yeah, for sure, it's absolutely.
I mean,
Duke of Richmond has that rally stage up in the driveway there,
closer to home, right? Like Ford has gone after Jeep in a big way and set up their own Bronco, all of these experiences. Why not put one in
Johnson Valley? Ford.
Why not put one closer?
Yeah, there a lot. So. There's the sort of rock crawling version of off road and the slow stuff and the technical stuff, which is a skill in itself. And then there's like the rally, which is probably my favorite thing, right? So the rally stuff, the big desert racing, which I've done in the past, is not for there, right?
You need more land. Yeah,
you need a lot of room.
About 1,000 miles, like south of the border.
Yeah. So it's definitely something we want to do, and we've all talked about, but how and where exactly?
Yeah.
The asphalt track's obviously easier to figure out.
Yeah. Last track question for me, because you mentioned Laguna Seca and the Bahrain karting circuit as iconic, and of course Laguna Seca is iconic for the corkscrew. Are you planning with Big Willow to make an iconic corner or turn or straightaway or
terrible turn 9, baby?
Right.
It's not just through the changes. I mean, part of what makes those things great is how you flow through the circuit. It's not just that there's one good corner and the rest of it sort of sucks. It's can you get a rhythm through there, and then it's easy to go out and pick up pace and challenge yourself. And there are turns where passing is available. Sometimes some circuits you just can't pass. Yeah. It's like a freight train, right? Everyone's just qualify and that's it.
Yeah.
So the designs, Alex's designs really allow for all of that. There's some discussion around some elevation change that may bring some of what I'm discussing, but it's a little bit early.
I can consult on one corner that could use it.
Yeah. I mean, there's the sort of turn 3 and 4 that they call it the Omega. The thing that sort of goes up the hill. It's actually quite slow in almost anything. And then as you go down and over, you know, you go over the hill. Well, you sort of go a little bit weight on the right car, a little bit weightless. But then it's just like super fast,
and
you know,
flat.
it's fat and into 8. And that's, for us, it's what happens after that. Right. And can that be a fabulous flow and rhythm? Can there be some elevation in there? And then you go back to, you know, sort of 8 and 9 or whatever.
But I like how you're saying flow, because, like, you know, like corkscrew, while iconic, to me, it's like the least interesting corner.
How dare you?
To drive. It's a giant braking zone, and then you fall down a hill.
Like, I just see over it. That's
you know,
part
like,
of the game,
I think
right?
like 6, that's a corner, you know. 5,
I think
I
think it's weirdly, I don't think it's hard at all to get the corkscrew
not
right.
hard at all,
It's the turn after that, to me, is like
the turn after
really
that is uncharted. Like, where do you go?
It's
a lot of options.
It's the best home field advantage for American racers who know that track, because all the Europeans are like, "What the hell is this?"
But you kind of generally look to your left, fall down a hill, and make a right.
They don't know that. They don't know that at speed. Like I went there in 2006 for MotoGP, and I remember the interviews with all the MotoGP. This is insane. Like,
well, it is. I mean, a motorcycle is a different challenge.
That would be insane.
There's something to, like I said, a track that has rhythm, a track that has. That's obviously interesting to see. A track. It's important that I think, especially if you're new or an amateur, you should understand what you're supposed to do. Sometimes, like, you don't really know where. Certainly at Big Willow now, where do you turn in? Where was the apex here?
8 and 9 are nuts. Yeah. I mean, and it's like
so is 3 and 4 as the same sort of. Not totally sure what you're supposed to do here.
I was when I was prepping for Pikes Peak, we were doing some racing at Big Willow beforehand with my coach, and he was like, "Do you see the water tower across?" And like, he meant like across the highway, not a highway, but across the road.
Yes,
I trying to see that. And I'm like, it's kind of hazy today. I can't, like, what am I aiming at? Like, give me something.
That's the thing. I think there are visual cues, but also just the way it feels. How you're weighted in the car, and certain things can be really thrilling, and not necessarily just like, I wasn't fast because I was willing, because I was willing to risk my life or like not make it home to dinner or something, and that's why I wasn't slow. That really shouldn't be the case. That is the case at some other circuits that are just super fast.
Oh yeah.
So, how did you get into all of this? Like, what's your story in terms of getting to this point where now you're building racetracks, experiences, being involved with very special exotic vehicles? Like, what's the Maz life story?
So I met Rob Dickinson when he was doing the first car, so in 2010, and we were like instant friends. I mean, he's easy to be friends with. He's not always easy to be friends with, but he's fascinating guy.
Easy to make friends with initially.
Fascinating guy doing a fascinating thing at the time, and it really kind of caught fire. The early days of Singer, where he mocked up a car beautifully, and he had there are those details and those nuances that make something more right than other things, and he has that weird ability to do that time and time again. I helped with the first car, and I was here to I was in the tech business here to start a thing, moved to Santa Monica to start a new business from Detroit. And I don't know, I was just hot rodding Porsches with a buddy of mine, and it was cool. It didn't feel like a business to me, but it was captivating to me as well as it was to other people. And we had distinctly had a conversation that we thought we might do 5 of them ever. Didn't have 5 customers, but that we could get to 5, and it would be like we climbed Mount Everest or whatever.
Wow.
And Rob had a bigger vision than that, but I was quite focused.
Realist,
well, I was focused on my.
How'd you meet him?
I met him in a parking lot at what was Singer at the time, which was weird. Singer was in the corner of a building with, I don't know, storage and some other stuff. It wasn't really a company.
And you saw it because there was a cool car there, and you were both gawking at it, and you're like,
think of how I actually found them. This orange car had gone around sort of online at the time. It was almost
the Singer car.
Yeah, the sort of advent of that happening. And I was out in that area. There was I was trying to find some Porsche parts. And there was a guy selling Porsche parts like a block away. And I don't know, I thought this was 2010, I barely remember.
Yeah.
I saw something or whatever. I ended up in this parking lot. I mean, I think we were talking for a couple of hours, and I ended up coming back the next day, and that was really how I met Rob anyway. And then when Singer got to 5 orders, you would never guess it would have gotten to 10.
Right.
It wasn't like there was a marketing team and all that. It was like Rob and me and two people, maybe 3 people.
When did you become like an employee or a founder or whatever?
So I just sort of helped and hung out, and I got to design basically the 964 base car. The first 2 cars were on a G series.
Yeah. Oh,
And I had a 993 at the time, and I knew everything about it. And I said, well, this should be on a 964. What do you do? And also 964s are basically free. I bought the first one for $12,000.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
And it had 80,000 miles. He had heard that, I think, from some other people. And we said, all right, let's do the next car in a 964. This is how by hand it was. There wasn't tooling and other things that had to be considered. Right?
Yeah.
So I got to do that and put and basically kind of spec and put together a thing with Cosworth and Olin's and all these suppliers that I thought would be very cool for one car and then for another one. So it was an outlet for me, but I wasn't involved. I was starting a tech business, which I did. I raised capital from Silicon Valley and built a business in Santa Monica. And as Singer kept on, like, we both sort of grew our businesses. I was always very close to Singer, and I've known Deb since that time. She was around since that time. And it really kind of was like, then it got to 10 orders, but you would never say it's going to go to 30.
Right.
I mean, you would have been laughed out of the room, right? At one point, I think I want to say 2015, 2016, I had always wanted to do like a super lightweight version of what was then the cars we reimagined had a formula. We did the same thing to every car. Singer did the same thing to every car, and I wanted to do a super forward version of it, like really engineer it to take weight out. In the spirit of old Porsches and things, and it kind of came up with a formula for that and how we might get it done, and there was an opportunity to get out of my tech business at the time. And, Rob and I sat down and I said, look, I think this needs to be a separate business. It needs financing. And Singer was, again, because, Singer couldn't anticipate the amount of business it would get. Like,
sure,
it wasn't really prepared for it. So it was very busy. Singer was very, very busy. I wasn't, running it. I was sort of watching it, be super big. Every time I walked in there, I was like, "Ooh, there's a lot of tension and a lot of busy stuff." So I wanted to do this other thing, and I figured we should do this in England, ultimately with Williams F1, and that's
because
what became
such a talent pool for that sort of engineering,
center of the universe for
motorsport.
low volume car manufacturing, and then of course motorsport.
Yeah,
and we had met some people along the way, Rob and I, that eventually led us to this sort of thing. Actually, Marino was part of that back then. So what ultimately became DLS was really a separate operation. It was a separate.
And you were running that,
and I was running that.
Oh,
and
that's cool.
I was a part of that.
Cool.
Yeah, I actually ran it out of my house.
Nice.
Doing out of my house in my living room and Grove at Formula One at Williams F1. I would go sort of back and forth, and then Singer was this growing and completely separate operation. So we had our own team and our own
that's cool.
finances and all of that. And then it grew and went faster and bigger than we expected. So in 2019, we decided to put the two together. And then I became the CEO January 2nd of 2020. And then in February we had
timing is
February we had COVID. It was just awesome first month. Right?
If I can pause you,
great,
you sound very modest at one point in this conversation. You had an opportunity to exit your business. Is that like you got a big payout and you got to take?
It was I don't know how to put it. It was
your main.
I was running a tech business. I love putting together a group of people and going and doing things. It was a fabulous culture, a terrific bunch of people who we all still hang out weirdly after the company sold at end of 2016. but I didn't care at all about what we were doing. And I
What
was
were you, if you don't mind, if you
I
can just
was
say in generally,
staring at cars all day long.
what's the
And
tech,
we
business?
were mathematically calculating the highest performing real estate agent relative to an address.
I mean, oh
Yeah,
wow,
right. But if you want to sell
It's like
your
Zillow or-
house,
Yeah.
we would determine who's going to sell this house
Sure.
fastest for the most money based on math, like Moneyball.
I mean, yeah, I had another career before cars, and I just same thing. Where you
But
just,
that wasn't the. In order to do that, we had to mine historical home sale data from 400 MLS systems across the country, and that's what we built almost by accident.
So
And that's really what sold to Quicken Loans
Got it.
eventually.
So,
But
like, data
all I did,
mining.
I mean, I'm sitting there doing this
right,
and really looking at cars all day long.
yeah.
And hanging out with Rob and team as much as I
Sure.
could, and
It's much
thinking
more
about
exciting.
this
Yeah.
other thing. So
Your browser was one tab on MLS and
you've seen my
and
office. It was like
35
helmets
on
and
Porsches.
And the
Yeah,
thing,
okay.
and so it was like I was dying to do it. There was an opportunity to go and do this. Open House, which is the name of the company, could have continued and gone and become probably really, really big. So it was fine, but it could have been massive. But I don't know that it could have been massive with me doing it, because I just
Sure.
I would say for us, not just for me and Rob, and probably a bunch of people that are there, like, this is like oxygen for us. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
This is not
Sure.
this is not a job or a gig.
Right.
And it was
Dig it.
like 24 hours a day, and it still is. And it's I would argue it's grown as a result. I don't know that anyone's more committed on earth or worked harder than Rob, and myself at this. So
But I mean, that really resonates, the oxygen thing, because again, I had a different career before I was doing this. I was on a guest on a podcast the other day, and the host said, like, hey, I know we've only been talking about cars. Like, I'm sure there's other things you're interested in. And I was like,
yeah,
there are, but I can talk about cars 24/7. I actually never get bored talking about cars. Like, it just doesn't happen.
no. And one of the, you've been discussing this lately. It like, it's like my family have had to go along with it. My wife, my kids, my house looks like it's sort of infects your whole, as a community.
It's a disease.
And I can spot other people who are similarly,
Sure.
It's an affliction.
even if it's a different, different,
Type of cars,
or even type of thing. I met like a winemaker a few weeks ago that was like, he's like us. Like, this guy is 24 hours a day,
just
not
obsessed.
because it's a business.
Right.
The
What else
business
you-
to some degree for us was, well, I mean, it wasn't, I mean, we've never placed an advertisement. We'd never understood the amount of people who would show up. We just weren't really able to forecast that. Now we can, now more science, and we have to, because, it's irresponsible not to, but
Right.
Singer was always sort of victim to more sales than we knew would show up. If you were spending ad dollars and it was, say, I don't know, $10,000 to get a customer, and you had $100,000, then you're gonna have 10 customers, and there's your forecast. Well, we didn't have any. They were just sort of showing up, and so we didn't know if we had to build a factory to build 50 cars or 100 cars or 1,000 cars.
Well, how many?
We would never have guessed 1,000.
How many employees are you at now?
700.
700.
Or just like 690 or something.
Well,
yeah.
yeah. But I mean, that's a lot.
Well, I mean, it went from 2020 we didn't do anything, really nothing. It was like,
Right. Yeah.
Big.
Same.
Took a year off, right?
Yeah.
2021, I think we had 105 people, and we built
That's
27,
massive growth.
27 cars.
Wow.
And 2023, we built 148 cars, and we had, I think, something closing on 550 people or 600.
And what's the capacity of your new facility, like, in terms of cars?
So
Like, how many-
Torrance, there's
Yeah.
actually 2 facilities.
Oh,
Well, there's a parts.
okay. I've
building.
only seen the one. Yeah.
Yeah, parts. It just
Yeah.
looks like parts. And but after sales, so servicing cars in the field is a separate building. It's 55,000 feet. The place you've been,
Yeah, the factory.
is 113,000 feet, and it could theoretically do 200 cars a year.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
then we have another one in England, which is about half the size.
Yeah. Huge facility, though. I was shocked by the scale of it.
Yeah. Well, we paint.
No, I
fab,
know, but I've been to,
upholstery,
like,
everything in there.
McLaren in Woking, and I feel like
Same
your
size.
production floor is, yeah, I was gonna say a little bigger, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're building cars by hand.
I know. Yeah.
and
yeah.
it's
Yeah, it's wild.
yeah.
So unfortunately, we're gonna have to wrap it up. But the great thing is we're gonna continue the Singer story in a part 2 with Rob Dickinson and Raj Nair. So why don't we, as a transition, if you can just tell us briefly how you and Rob managed to drag
Raj,
the man, the myth, the legend
Raj
out of Canada.
from Ford and Multimatic into Singer. And then I'll ask him the same question.
Yeah. So
And when your answers don't match.
so Raj was a CTO at Ford. He's an engineer.
Yeah.
He's a driver actually.
Passionate.
Yeah.
Motorcycle
car
racer.
dude.
Dude's
Yeah.
crazy.
And so I'd hired Multimatic for a couple of things. They're actually still a supplier to us, component supplier, but they were services supplier for some time. I worked with Larry Holt, and Larry Holt there for a while. Not with Raj at the time, but obviously I knew who Multimatic was. Our team, like we sort of all know.
All car geeks know Multimatic.
Yeah, but the Singer's gotten to this point where it's of the 700 people, it's like 650 of them are in production and supply chain.
Wow.
The rest of it is, there's some, people obviously on the customer experience side, and I would say also engineering. So new product engineering, new the new things that we do all run out of England. So we have, it's an ops business. It's not a sales business. The design studio, Rob and I are the product guys. He does the styling. I do the rest of it. So how it drives and who our partners are and how it sounds and all that other stuff. That team is relatively small in the business. So the bulk of the work is running a manufacturing business, which I have no experience in, and I hate it. So it's like the people that are good at that, people like Raj, are like gladiators. Like they love the punishment.
Hardcore.
We have 500 suppliers. You can imagine 10% of them are a problem at any given time at any company. So that's not unique to us.
Right.
But that's the fight he's fought for years and years and years, and he has clearly has he's not just. It's not just combat every day. He has methods, he has processes, he has experience with it. And then
I was at Ford. I mean, you see real bureaucracy in action. And
bureaucracy,
real
but then the same
supplier
thing and huge consequences. So, that's actually what leads us to Willow Springs is instead of fighting to figure out how to not lose value, which to me is manufacturing, how do you maintain your forecast and not fall apart? I wasn't really building any value. I mean, Rob and I doing the products, determining what a product is, but the opportunity then to go and expand our brand in this direction with Willow Springs.
Got it.
I couldn't possibly do that and try to do that other job at the same time.
Right.
And then we have others. That's not the only thing. So it's the future product strategy. I'm the chief strategy officer now. It's a tacky corporate name, but we couldn't think of anything else.
I love it. Yeah.
But the point is I get to go work on sort of building the brand, expanding the brand geographically as well, really looking at the products and what possibilities are, and being able to take the time to do that well. It was not possible in doing the same, So this is like a fantasy having Raj around for real, because he's good at it. He's a fantastic. All of our team are we have pretty strict policy.
I'll never
hiring.
forget. I'll never forget. I saw him.
Fantastic guy.
Yeah, I saw him in 2016. Must have been, I don't know, the Paris or Frankfurt Auto Show or something. His arms in a sling. I'm like, what happened?
He gets hurt pretty often.
I go, what happened? And he goes, when we won Le Mans, I was so excited. I maybe I had a few drinks, but I jumped over the wall.
He just crashed a bicycle the other day. But yeah, we've become friends. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that's cool about Singers. As everyone's sort of similarly wacky about cars, and he's a terrific dude. All of our team are generally very
I'll just drop a dime on Raj and just tell you and your lawyers that you may want to restrict some of his activities. I talked to him when he was at Ford because apparently he was like fraternity president in college. He loved cars, also raced motorcycles. Yeah. And I said, Ford lets you do that? He said, they don't let me race motorcycles anymore. Yeah. So you might want to write that.
He did crash a bicycle like a couple of weeks ago. I think he's balanced himself. I heard some of the stories, but I think he's cool. He's a good driver too.
Yeah,
which is helpful. Yeah. So it's easy for me to explain why we want to do something. He gets it. He's not like
it's so smart to bring in like a car person, not just like a MBA.
Super hard to find.
Yeah, it does.
Super hard. And our board, we have investors. A guy named Tom Wagner, who was familiar with Raj. I forget through something else as well. and he helped get that done. So
That's
how
great.
we conned him to come in the door. I think it
I
was
love it.
he's also sort of built for this, and he sees an opportunity to take his experience, which is vast. Multimatic wasn't planning to grow and
Also,
double and triple.
it's not a hard sell. Like, you want to leave Ontario and come to Southern California?
Well, he was in
Ann Arbor.
actually.
Ann
A really
Arbor.
nice.
Oh,
we
but
would
still,
extract him out of a nice
Ann
neighborhood.
Arbor, Manhattan Beach. Come on.
Another guy doesn't
Yeah.
screw around. He bought a house and moved out within weeks.
You told me. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah. it
Well,
doesn't-
You can keep us honest, but our first question to Raj is going to be, so how did Maz and Rob con you into the job at Singer? So, which is what we'll do.
Yeah.
All right,
So-
perfect.
Awesome. Well, we could talk to you for hours more about all the cool stuff you're doing. Probably we'll have you back once
Sure.
we get the, what are we going to call it, Singer Festival Speed or whatever that materializes when we want to talk about that.
Don't have a name yet.
Let's get you,
Definitely
let's
not
get
that.
you back on.
But, or revival. It's not
Right,
revival.
again, another multi-million-dollar idea.
You're full of them.
I'm
Yeah,
full
yeah.
of them. Full of something.
Certified genius.
All right. Thank you, Maz, for
Yeah,
coming
Maz,
on.
it was awesome.
It's been
Thank you.
great.
Thanks for having me.